Good morning, executive team. My name is Sherry Gottesman. I'm here to speak with you about a proposal for a telecommuting program. To really get a flavor of what this trending concept is, I created this proposal starting with what is telecommuting, how it's evolved as a business strategy, its benefits, its drawbacks, and a little bit about a successful telecommuter already working here at Microsoft, and how we can run a test pilot program to explore how it could benefit Microsoft. So what is telecommuting? Telecommuting is an alternative work arrangement where an employee sits and works in a place that's not the traditional office setting. Now, it could be their home, a remote office, or even an internet cafe. They may telecommute once a week, or some telecommute every day. Either way, the employee works and interacts with his coworkers, clients, and customers via email, telephone, and video conferencing, as opposed to face-to-face discussions. Many employees see the flexibility to telecommute as a perk of employment, but lately, many companies are seeing it as an effective business strategy to increase productivity and profits. The term telecommuting began to rise in the 1990s with the advent of the portable phone and fax machine. At that time, those who quote-unquote telecommuted were home-based customer service operators, annoying telemarketers, and sales folks, who were generally hourly, low-paid, or commission-based positions. These were jobs that didn't require face-to-face interaction, or they were super face-to-face, such as a salesperson who's out in the field all the time. Jobs like accountant, brand manager, claims agent, in-house counsel, all were tied to the office where they interacted by pen and paper and faxes and meetings and telephone. Today, we see more and more interaction that goes through electronic means. With a reliable internet connection, employees can work from just about anywhere on the planet. They can interact with coworkers and customers by email and video conferencing, as well as the old school telephone through teleconferencing. We also find that many high-level management personnel tend to be telecommuting more and more because they're able to network better outside of the office. And quite honestly, they just don't live near the office, yet they are the top talent in their fields that meets the company's needs. And instead of moving them nearby, they telecommute. Some of the benefits that the company can experience from employing a telecommuting program or a policy is attracting better employees. Talent is only one of the strategic benefits, though, that the company can see from telecommuting. Other reason companies are hopping on the trend is that it's good for their bottom line. Starting with the better talent, they cite reduction in safety concerns. It allows them to employ those who may be homebound, handicapped, or otherwise disabled, or taking care of a disabled family member. Companies have reduced capital expenditures and have reduced office space. They have turned to hoteling desks. So instead of dedicated offices and desks, people check in and check out when they're in office. These are all great things, but the biggest impact is an increase of productivity by at least 20% on average. Now, as you can see in the chart below, the Computer Technology Industry Association did a survey in 2008 that indicated productivity increased by as much as 67%. Now, this is mostly due to exchanging the time of commuting into time for working. In addition, companies have also noticed an increase in the retention of employees and a reduction in absenteeism, and a new renewed respect and loyalty or gratitude factor for the company, because employees were grateful to the company for giving the opportunity to have the flexibility to telecommute. Now, while there's benefits for the company, there's also benefits for the employee. Starting with the obvious monetary savings for not putting gas in the car, taking taxis, buses, and trains, or savings on less laundry and dry cleaning, most employees state that they experience better health, less sicknesses, and therefore less absenteeism, similar to what the companies were stating they were seeing. They love that they can live where they want to. In fact, they can live just about anywhere on the planet and do their jobs. Telecommuters are overall more happy, and that raises the general morale and attitude towards the company. An odd thing that was surveyed was an increase in interaction with management. Telecommuters interacted more with their supervisor, which builds a better relationship between themselves and their supervisor. And many telecommuting personnel also reported lower stress and increased quality of life, and clearly having more flexibility, they can tend to take care of their own health, like going to the gym, eating healthy, as well as tending to the health and welfare of others, like the elderly parents or their children. As you can see in this recent survey done by T-Sheets of 500 remote workers, every aspect they asked these workers about, from mental health, career goals, family life, social life, has had primarily a positive impact based on telecommuting. Now, it's not just the company or the employee that's seeing benefits, but society is benefiting as a whole by telecommuting. It benefits society because people aren't using cars and trains and automobiles to get to work, therefore reducing the reliance on fossil fuels. There's also a reduction in traffic accidents, road rage, a reduction in the cost of maintenance to roads because they're used less often and damaged less. There's also a potential to reduce inner city crowding because you can hire people from wherever they live, and people can move to wherever they want to be, and there's no need to stay in the inner city because they're reliant on inner city transportation. Now, while all this sounds excellent, I'd be remiss not to point out that there are some drawbacks to telecommuting. Certainly, one who works from home can easily be distracted by a child, by television, by the need to do laundry or dishes, or anything else that suddenly pops up, or if you're a person who lacks motivation. Telecommuters need to be self-starters. They also need to be really sociable. I know that sounds weird, but they need to know how to socialize in a manner to collaborate with coworkers even when they're not working face to face. And some people excel at not working face to face. Telecommuters also need to self-manage themselves because the good ones, working long hours, tend to struggle with the balance between work and home. If you have an employee that can't regulate themselves or can't motivate themselves, then you potentially could have a loss of productivity instead of an increase. That being said, let's take a look at our Microsoft telecommuting success story. Ann Carter, our current VP of Enterprise Risk. As you may know, Ann joined the company in 2012. She and her family moved from Florida to Minnesota. She was quite reluctant to move, but she had been unemployed for a long time, and the position that we offered her was the perfect match to her skills. She came to Microsoft, and it wasn't long before she was proving her value to the company. Her skills enabled the company to cut costs and reduce reliance on outside consultants. While Ann was excelling in her office, her family was growing increasingly miserable in Minnesota. They didn't like the weather. They found it very hard to make friends. The family wanted to go back home. Her husband was offered a position in Miami, and after getting a glowing annual review from her boss, Ann asked if she could do a trial telecommute. Reluctantly, her boss, Kathy Maxon, the EVP of Enterprise Risk, agreed to a trial commute, but with the understanding that the company would be looking to replace her. She was given a 90-day trial, and during the 90 days, the company failed to identify anyone local with Ann's robust skill set. They identified 2 people out of state, but neither would move to Minnesota. They wanted to telecommute. Meanwhile, during these 90 days, Ann displayed a continued excellence in working remotely. Her dedication to the company came through threefold, so much so that when the company downsized the Enterprise Risk Department in 2015, Ann was the first person they put on the keep list. Not only was she on the keep list, but she was promoted to vice president of the department. And she will take over for Kathy Maxon in December when Kathy retires. Throughout Ann's 4 going on 5 years telecommuting for Microsoft, she has remained hands-on with her department and with the people she manages. In fact, many people don't even realize that Ann's a telecommuter. Clearly, Anne is a Microsoft telecommuter success story. So what does this all mean for Microsoft? Well, what we are seeing in the corporate world is a strong strategic trend in telecommuting. It's an opportunity for Microsoft to join the trend and potentially be more productive and ultimately more profitable. If Microsoft were to add a telecommuting policy or a program, we could potentially attract better employees, like Anne. I recommend that we try this, that we draft a policy for a 90-day pilot program. To do so, we'd obviously need to determine some factors. We need to determine what positions realistically can be handled by somebody who telecommutes. We also need to determine who and what personalities are capable of excelling through a telecommuting program. And we need to determine what's the criteria to call the program a success, amongst other things. With the knowledge that telecommuting could cut people off from their coworkers, it's also important that we build into this program some projects and opportunities in which productive and motivated telecommuters can prove their accountability in their positions. We should also craft a survey of our telecommuters in the pilot program, as well as their managers, to get a real feel and feedback on the program. And then, of course, after the 90 days, we should review, evaluate, revise the program, and hopefully it will work out and become a larger rollout. I believe if we create a telecommuting policy, we will find it to be a strategic benefit for Microsoft and find that our employees are more satisfied with their jobs, which will help us attract and attain the best employees in the nation, making Microsoft not just a world leader in technology and training, but a leading employee that everyone wants to work for.